Do you think that you might have an addiction to video games? What exactly is video game addiction anyways? Stay tuned to the rest of this video as I discuss what video game addiction is and its warning signs, and maybe some of the symptoms you might be experiencing. Take a look in the background. My dog, Kona, wants to be with me today, so say hi to Kona. This is the Game Is Over podcast, and welcome, because I'm your host, Kelly. This is a podcast where I'm documenting my journey of taking video games out of my life. I'm going to share my successes and failures as I take myself to the next level of my life. Hello once again, and welcome to the Game Is Over podcast. This is episode 2. In this episode, I'm discussing signs and symptoms and what exactly is video game addiction. On a side note, it's been 80 days since I last played a video game, and I'm very proud of that. I mentioned in the other episode that I've had been longer, so this journey is not just beginning at 80 days ago. It started quite some time ago. I also fell into a gambling addiction, and I feel it's important for me to mention that because I really think gaming and gambling were kind of related for me. It's been since January 4th of 2019 since I last placed a bet. And that's very important for me to recognize that in every episode that I bring to you. I like to provide updates, and a lot of the stuff that I talk about is in reflection of what's happened in the past. A lot of the things that I think about now, I didn't have these thoughts when I was in them, and I think that's common for most people. That we can't see the jar that we're sitting in. When we look back and look how far we've come, that's when it really resonates with how much you've changed. I'm super excited. Within the last week, this is like I'm trying to do episodes every week, so this is this week's episode. It's only episode 2, so welcome once again, and thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. But since my last episode, I decided that I really need to hone my skills on YouTube. I really need to take myself to another level on YouTube. And I'm doing that by joining with Think Media the Video Ranking Academy course. I'm going to learn more about YouTube, how to put myself out there, how to just face the fear and press record. I don't know exactly how to say it, but make better videos, just improve my knowledge on YouTube. And I'm very thankful for Think Media for offering this opportunity to me and to many people to help and grow our own channels. Super awesome. Thank you guys. So what is video game addiction? I'll start by saying that in 2018, the World Health Organization recognized gaming disorder as a mental health condition, and it can be defined as a pattern of gaming behavior so severe that it takes precedence over our other life interests. This may include the inability to control the amount of time spent gaming, and we seem to prioritize gaming over other activities and continue to game despite its negative consequences. So just as a side note here, I'm not a mental health professional, although I'd really love to be. Maybe that's in the future. But if you think that you have an issue with video game addiction in your own life, or maybe someone you love, please seek professional help. Let's leave this to the professionals, people that can help you. because sometimes these symptoms, these causes, these signs, they can all become more relevant to us. They can all become more dangerous to us the further and further we go along. And I wanted to take a little bit of a sidebar here at this point and say, you know what, gaming disorder wasn't always prevalent in my life. Of course, I grew up in the 80s. That's the advent of video game console systems. That's the advent of computers in the home. And it kind of just, it just was casual. And a lot of times, yes, I would have some time on playing games on the consoles, or playing games on the computers. And back when I was a young kid and school-age kid, I remember our first computer that my mom and dad brought home, and we wouldn't be able to spend a lot of time on it, but soon enough there was video games, and you wouldn't call them video games at that time. They're just games that you could play on the computer, and they were archaic and things like that. And over the 80s and 90s, they've really developed those games to be more and more intriguing, better graphics, better sound, and they all kind of hit me. And the more and more I played, the more and more that I got quote unquote addicted to these games. And like I said, I don't remember it being a problem, because once I'm inside the jar, you can't see outside the jar sometimes. What I mean by that is, you take that you can see yourself better in the future than what you recognize in the present moment, because you've learned some things, you better growing, and you kind of think about the circumstances that had happened and what happened there during this time. And what I want to say to this is, like, this definition of gaming behavior that takes precedence over other life interests, that's slowly developed. I remember having computers in the home after I got married and after we had kids. We'd put the kids to bed, for example, and I'd turn to the video games, and that was no problem. But it soon became my wife looking after that stuff, and I tended to just go to the video games, and she would look after everything in the home. And you know what, that was a very bad situation. That's something that I don't want to talk about in this episode, but maybe this for future episodes, about how it's affected my relationships, and it may be affecting your relationships. So once again, please seek professional help. That's going to be the best thing to do. Ask a doctor, ask somebody around about what you can do about this. But I want to get into some of the signs and maybe some of the symptoms of what we may be experiencing, what I remember from my experience as well. So the first thing is a preoccupation with games. Where is our focus? Have you found yourself constantly thinking about the games that you play? Do you find yourself even thinking about them even when you're not playing? And this for me holds true. It's one of the signs that I didn't recognize in the beginning. Like, I was just so eager to just play the games, and I would delve into books and onto the internet about how to play these games, and that's what I was constantly doing. So if I couldn't play the game, I'd be looking up something of how to play the game or what to do with these games. And once again, this didn't really take hold of me until later in my life, when it became a problem. But I even remember having sleepless nights because maybe the next day I was so excited about something new coming into a game. I was so excited that I wouldn't even be able to sleep. And that was interesting. So once again, a preoccupation with games could be a sign that you have a video game addiction. And I'm just saying these in retrospect. I mean, you can combine all these together and say, yeah, I have a video game problem. But again, maybe figure it out for yourself. Maybe there's withdrawal symptoms when you're not playing. Do you experience those? And what I mean by withdrawal symptoms, do you get mood swings? Do you become irritable when you can't play a game? Do you experience depression? Do you feel anxious? Are you sad? Do you experience maybe urges or cravings when you try to stop playing video games? You say, oh, I really got to get back to this game. How about headaches? Even physical symptoms can happen. Any of those can be classified as withdrawal symptoms, and maybe that's what you're experiencing. The next thing is your tolerance level. This was a key one for me because it's about like getting to a level of satisfaction with your gaming. Like if you don't get to this level, do you find yourself trying to add more time? Do you have to play longer, etc.? Maybe you even have to invest more money because your satisfaction level where you are. And what I mean by satisfaction level is that maybe you're not reaching to a certain level. Maybe you can't kill a certain boss. Maybe you just, the enjoyment out of it, you have to do more and more in order to enjoy the game more and more. And I really found this difficult for me. In the end, I couldn't enjoy myself anymore. And you know what that led to? That led to a gambling addiction for me. So your tolerance level, if you find yourself needing to play more and more, you might have a problem with playing video games. The next is a lack of control, and I kind of went into that a little bit already. Like, have you tried to stop and couldn't? Have you tried to limit your time and found yourself going over your limit each and every time? How does that resonate for you? Can you control it? Can you just put the video games down and go outside and go for a walk? Or do you really find yourself being drawn into those video games again? Do you experience loss of interest in other activities? What other hobbies have you stopped doing? What have you abandoned? Have you abandoned any sports that you once were involved in? Do you spend less time with your family and friends? Those are all about that. Those all could be signs that you are addicted to video games because your other experiences wane. You no longer want to, I don't know, maybe you no longer want to participate in sports. You say, oh, I got to quit that team. It's not fun for me anymore. The games are more fun. Are you experiencing negative impact in other departments of your life? Do you find your life crumbling apart around you? Is there trouble in your relationships? Negative impact. Are you experiencing any of those negative impacts? How about your health? Your personal hygiene? Are you getting enough sleep? Do you find yourself, maybe you're grumpy and irritable not because you're not playing games, but maybe because you're not getting enough sleep? For me, that's a key one too. Sleep is very important. Still to this day, I have trouble with it. And I'm not saying I have trouble sleeping. I have trouble going to bed. We'll get into that in another episode, I hope. How about deception? Do you find yourself lying about how much time you're playing? Or lying about video games in general? Oh no, I don't play those anymore. Have you participated in behavior like stealing, theft, maybe from your parents' credit cards? Deception. I found myself lying about how much I played. Heck, I was trying to hide it. I would only play when people in my family weren't home. or I'd only play when there was late at night. I'd stay up late at night, and that's when I'd play. Thought, it's all well and good. I wasn't trying to hide it. Well, maybe I was, yeah. And how about escapism? And this is for me too. I mean, this led to problems at home. It's common for people to use video games to help us de-stress, yes. But do you find yourself not dealing with life circumstances? Trying to escape? Do you avoid situations? Do you procrastinate on things that you need to do? Let's maybe say studying for school or helping out around the house. You say, yeah, Mom, I'll do that later, and then you forget to do it later. Cleaning your room. Is your room nice and neat and tidy? So these are all signs of video game addiction. And I'd love for you, this is the part where I need to figure out the ending of this. I'd love for you to just take some time for yourself and make sure that you seek professional help if you recognize any of these signs in your own life. And as I wrap up this podcast, I really want to say, well, you can say hi to Kona in the background there. I'm not sure how many videos he's going to join me for, but he loves to sit on my bed when I'm recording, it seems. And I want to thank you once again for joining me today as I explore video game addiction. And that's what this podcast is going to be about. And it's going to be about my journey. It's going to be about some of the things I've learned, and as I take myself to the next level of my life. And you know what? One of the very first things that I really would love to share with you about my podcast is that I have a great kindness within me. I want you to recognize that you gotta love yourself, and you gotta love and be kind to everybody around you, because you never know what somebody else could be going through. Thank you, and take care. I'll see you next time.